everyone, welcome to our channel. Today we're going to be reading Chapter 3 of the Disney Storybook Collection. So long, Pixie Hollow! The fairies of Pixie Hollow had a lot of work to do. It was their job to bring autumn to the mainland. And that meant gathering a lot of pixie dust. Pixie dust was very important to the fairies. They could not fly or do their magic without it. A dust keeper fairy named Terrance was just finishing up his work for the day. "Have you delivered the pixie dust rations to the scout?" asked Fairy Gary, Terrance's boss. "Finished today and half of tomorrow's," said Terrance. "Remember, 1 cup each. No more, no less," warned Fairy Gary. Suddenly, a beetle buzzer sounded. It was the end of the workday. Terrance rushed out to meet his friend, Tinkerbell. Terrance found Tink by a stream. She was putting the finishing touches on her new boat. Tinkerbell was a tinker fairy. She loved to fix things and was always tinkering with spare parts. She proudly showed Terrance the Pixie Dust Express she had built herself. Terrance handed Tink a rubber band. "I thought you could use it for your motor," he explained. Tink stretched out the piece of rubber. "I think it's going to be perfect," she told Terrance, trying not to get tangled in it. Soon, Tink was ready to test her boat. She launched it onto the water. "Let her rip," said Terrance. Tink took off. She pulled different levers as she sped up the stream. Out popped wings, skies, and water wheel. But Pixie Dust Express was faster than Tink expected. Before she knew it, she had lost control of the boat. "Oh no!" Tink cried. Her boat sped onto the shore and crashed onto a tree. Terrance rushed over to Tink. "Are you okay?" he asked as he helped her up. "Arr!" Tink cried. She kicked angrily at the sand. "I can't believe the boat broke." She sat down on the ground, disappointed. Terrance sat beside her. "It just needs a little tinkering," he said. "Now who do I know who's good at tinkering?" Tinkerbell laughed. Terrance always knew how to cheer her up. Just then, a fairy swooped out of the sky. "Tinkerbell, the queen awaits," said the fairy. Tink wondered why Queen Clarion wanted to see her. Was she in trouble? Tink nervously followed the fairy to Queen Clarion's chamber. Queen Clarion was waiting with Fairy Mary and Minister of Autumn when Tinkerbell arrived. Since time immemorial, fairies have celebrated the end of autumn with a rarely and spectacular autumn considers with a blue moon. The minister told Tink, "A new scepter must be created to celebrate the occasion." The minister led her to a room full of scepters. "Every scepter is unique," he said. "Some are the work of animal fairies. Others were made up by light fairies or water fairies. This year, it's your turn of the tinker fairies. And Fairy Mary has recommended you." Fairy Mary presented Tink with a sparkling moonstone to place on top of the scepter. On the night of the revelry, the stone would align with the blue moon to create special blue pixie dust. The blue dust kept the pixie dust tree strong. Tink thanked Queen Clarion, Fairy Mary, and the minister. Then she carefully carried the stone to her workshop. That night, Tink told Terrance about the scepter and the blue pixie dust. Then she showed him the moonstone. "It's amazing," said Terrance. "Maybe I can help you?" "That would be great," replied Tink. The next morning, Terrance arrived bright and early. He brought Tink all sort of gadgets he thought she could use for her scepter. He kept the fire going, swept the floor, and even brought Tink her meals. But he also hovered over her. Soon, Terrance began to get on Tink's nerves. Finally, Tinkerbell was almost finished with the scepter. She just needed to fix one last piece of it. "It looks like you need a sharp thingy," said Terrance, peering over her shoulder. He offered to look for something, and Tink gladly let him go. Now she could work in peace. She finished the scepter and placed the moonstone carefully on it. It was perfect! Just then, Terrance returned with a huge round compass. "What is this?" Tink asked. "Terrance, this is not sharp." Terrance tried to explain that there were a sharp part inside, but Tink pushed the compass out of the way. It rolled right into the scepter. The moonstone popped out unharmed, but the scepter smashed to pieces. Tink was furious. "Go away!" she yelled at Terrance. At first, Terrance was hurt. Then he got angry. "Fine!" he yelled and stormed out. When she was alone, Tink kicked the compass with all her might. The lid popped open and crushed the moonstone. Tink tried to gather the broken blue bits, but it was no use. The moonstone was ruined. Tinkerbell tried to glue the pieces of moonstone back together, but they kept falling apart. That night her friends Clank and Bobble came by. Tink quickly pushed the pearly blue pieces into a bag. She didn't want anyone to know about the moonstone. "We came to see if you wanted to join us for fairy tale theater," said Clank. "I really don't have time," said Tink, trying to hurry them out. As they left, Boblin told Tink that Fairy Mary would be at the fairy tale theater. Maybe Fairy Mary would know where Tinkerbell could find another moonstone. "Clank! Bobble! Wait for me!" she called. At the fairy tale glen, Tinkerbell hurried over to Fairy Mary. "I was thinking," said Tink nervously, "if using one moonstone creates a little bit of pixie dust, using two would create even more. Is there another moonstone?" Fairy Mary replied, "The moonstone is the only one found in the last 100 years. Tinkerbell was in even more trouble than she thought. Just then the lights dimmed. A fairy named Lyra came on stage. With a swirl of pixie dust, Lyra began to tell the story about the mirror that had the power to grant one wish. According to legend, the mirror had been stolen by pirates, but their ship had run aground on a mysterious island, and the mirror was lost forever. Lyria told the fairies about the 3 signs that would lead to the lost island: a stone arch, an old troll bridge, and an abandoned ship that sunk but never sank. Tinkerbell's eyes grew wide. She had to find that mirror. Tinkerbell rushed home and began to draw a map to the lost island. She checked the compass Terrance had left. Then she gathered food, clothing, and other supplies. "How am I going to carry all this?" she wondered. She looked into her bag of pixie dust. She didn't have enough to make a long journey. The next morning, Tinkerbell went to ask Fairy Gary for more pixie dust. "You know the rules," he said. "You already got your ration." But Tink was determined. She asked her friends Iridessa, Rosetta, and Silvermist if they could lend her some dust, but they had none to spare. Finally, Tink asked Terrance. "Why do you need more dust?" he asked. Tink grew angry. "A true friend wouldn't ask," she yelled. "A true friend wouldn't ask me to break the rules," Terrance yelled back. "Well, then, I guess we're not true friends," Tink said. She stormed off. On her way home, Tink kicked angrily at a cluster of cotton balls. A sprinkle of pixie dust fell out of her bag and onto the cotton, which began to float. Suddenly, Tink had an idea. She collected all the cotton balls she could carry and a large hollow gourd. Then she got to work. Tink drilled, she sawed, she nailed. When she was done, she had built a balloon to bring her from all her supplies to the lost island. As the sun began to go down, Tink put the compass and her supplies in the balloon. Very carefully, placed the moonstone pieces in the bag and tied it around her waist. Then she sprinkled some pixie dust on the top of the cotton ball balloon. The whole thing began to float. Tink was thrilled. She and her balloon rose higher and higher into the sky. "So long, Pixie Hollow," she called. "I'll be back soon." The end. That's it for chapter 3. The next chapter is A Glowing Team. But we'll not read this time. We'll read it next time. And by the way, I hope you like this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and always be watching our videos. See you later. Bye-bye.